Part 23. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 222. Chapter 222, Do you want to take care of it? Grandma he slept more soundly at night after winning the battle, but what she didn't know was that the plan did not change quickly. As soon as spring began, Grandma he asked someone to clear out the back mountain and plant seeds. He Genbei and her daughter-in-law came to visit. Lately, under the supervision of Grandma, Mei Shui cannot go anywhere and can only stay at home and talk to Li Shuang from time to time. Both of them had children with them, and there were more topics to talk about than before. Xiaoxiu, are you at home? Is the third aunt at home? He Genbei looked very haggard and suffered a lot. Aunt Yang was not much better. His eyes are red, and it looks like he has been tortured. Meixiu was shocked when she saw their appearance. What's going on, Uncle Genbei? Open the door immediately and let them in first. Oh, Xiaoxiu he Genbei sighed, his eyes red. Aunt Yang couldn't bear it anymore. Since the day before yesterday, she had been begging her grandfather and grandma everywhere but couldn't find a way out, so she collapsed. Now that she saw Mei Shui talking so loudly and angrily to her family, she couldn't help it anymore. Wow, Xiaoxiu, you must save my family and my son. While crying, she knelt down and shouted to Mei Shui. It suddenly woke up the three children who were basking in the sun in the yard. Everyone burst into tears. Li Shuang's daughter was okay and was held by her mother all the time. However, He Shipeng and He Shishan were different. They fell asleep and were immediately frightened when they were yelled at. Mei Shui helped the person up. She is a junior, no matter what, Aunt Yang cannot kneel in front of her. Auntie, you get up first. The child is scared. I'll comfort the child first. After pulling him up, he threw him directly into He Genbei's arms. Meixiu was a little unhappy. She had to coax these two boys for a long time after scaring them. She was the only one at home and her grandma was not here. How could she coax two of them? Aunt Yang was shocked when Mei Shui pulled her away like this, but she also heard the children's cries, and she felt embarrassed and wanted to go forward to help, but He Genbei stopped her. Don't worry about it, leave it to Xiaoxiu. He was also anxious, but he also knew the importance. Fortunately, the two children were quite well behaved and were sleeping. After coaxing them for a while, they fell asleep again. At this time, Mei Shui turned her eyes to the two of them and asked, Uncle Genbei and Aunt, what are you doing here? She asked in a much softer voice. He Genbei grabbed his wife who was still about to cry and said, Xiaoxiu, I have no choice but to come to your house, that's why. Hence, He Genbei told what he had experienced in the past few days. It turned out that something happened to He Anyang in the town. He had been wandering around the town, gathering a group of people, and it was because of this group that something happened to him. The person was blinded, and now he has reported it to the police, and he has been arrested. Severe beatings have been carried out in the past few years. If he cannot find a way to get him out, he will go to jail. 3 days have passed since the accident. He begged his grandfather and grandma, and begged many people, but in the end no one came forward to help him. Even if it was the eldest brother in the family, he was kicked out after he came to the door and said this. In a word, don't say that he is related to their family, for fear of embarrassment. His old mother also stood by her eldest brother, saying that there would be no grandson like Yangzi in the future. That's her grandson, her eldest brother's nephew, but what about them? The most promising eldest brother in the family didn't help him, so he really had no choice at all. Fortunately, there were two conscientious people among Yangzi's group of brothers who came over and told him that as long as he gave him money, they would keep it private. After asking how much it would cost, he also borrowed from all his relatives and friends, but he didn't get much money. As for his eldest brother, he didn't even get in the door the second time. I don't even want to think about how much help Yangzi helped him before his accident. They asked for 10,000 yuan at the outset, but how could the family come up with it? After final discussion, the family decided to pay 5,000 yuan as compensation, or else they would go to jail. Even if their family can't do anything about it, they have to find a way. In the end, I just want to come back and beg for mercy from my third aunt and Mei Shui. After listening to this, Mei Shui and Li Shuangshuang looked at each other and saw the shock in each other's eyes. 5,000 yuan is not a small amount, and it is not something that ordinary people can afford. Meixiu was not worried about money. She had money, but why should she lend it to them? She has no control over how much trouble there will be if she lends it to them. Then why does he anyong hit others? What Mei Shui is most concerned about is this. If that person is not a real gangster, then why else? Isn't it just for some brotherly love? One of his friends was beaten by the other party, and then he came to him for help. Do you think he was stupid? Why did he do it himself? Aunt Yang was very worried about this. Complain. That's great, something happened, and that person disappeared. When I found his house, the door was closed. Weavua, my little Yang, why are you so stupid? After saying that, Aunt Yang started howling again. He Jianbei kept looking at Mei Shui's face. When he saw the expression on her face, he immediately covered his wife's mouth with his hand. Shut up, I didn't see there were 3 children here. He was also impatient, but he was more able to read people's faces. After seeing the howling sound stop, Mei Shui breathed a sigh of relief. I can't make the decision in the family affairs, and I don't know how much money the family has. I'm going to call grandma back. Meixiu really can't make up her mind about this matter. Okay, thank you Zioxiu, please Zioxiu, I will help you look after the child, he Jianbei immediately said with a smile when he heard that the third aunt was here. It's okay, the children are all asleep, as long as Aunt Yang doesn't howl. Mei Shui glared at Aunt Yang, who fell to the ground and said, Shuang, please help me look after the child. I'll go to the back mountain to call grandma. She didn't feel at ease letting them look after the child. Okay, you go ahead. I just pushed the children back into the house. It's windy outside, Li Shuangshuang responded. Mei Shui came to the back mountain to find her grandma and told her about it. When grandma he heard that she wanted 5,000 yuan, her face wrinkled up. You can't borrow this money. Once you open your mouth, the village will come looking for money, no matter how big or small it is. Let's not talk about the amount of money. When will the money be collected back? Grandma he was very worried. Do you want to take care of this matter? If you don't, the person will have to go to jail. It would not be good if this matter spread. Mei Shui looked at her grandma's troubled face and asked, why don't they let their family sell the land? It happened that the family wanted to buy it. The idea works, let's do this. They have a large family and a lot of fields. We don't want the land, but we can buy it back and redeem it later when they have money. She has no collateral, and her family's money is not brought by strong winds. Who is willing to borrow such a large amount of money? 5,000 yuan, that's several years' worth of income for some families. Even Anwen's income now is 1 year's income. She wouldn't feel at ease if she didn't get something to pay for it. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 223. Chapter 223, Management, please vote for recommendation, monthly vote. I listened to Grandma. Mei Shui felt that it would not be a problem to exchange fields for them, but how many fields did his family have? But even if his family has 10 acres of land, it won't be enough. Mei Shui knew the price. Hans told her this before he left, fearing that she would be deceived by the village chief. It's okay, let's do the math first. If it's not enough, he'll have to issue an IOU. Anyway, we can't lend the money out so easily. If possible, She really didn't want to pay the price. But if I don't borrow it, I'm afraid I won't have a stable life in the future. It's a mistake to borrow less, and it's a mistake not to borrow. It's better to just ask for more. Back home, Grandma he asked what happened again, and finally gave the answer, no money to borrow, or else she would use their family's farmland in exchange. Li Shuang left very sensibly after seeing them talking about business. After returning home, she didn't talk to her mother-in-law. She just said that Uncle Jianbei had something to do to see the third grandma, so she came back first. Without outsiders, Grandma he also talked to He Jianbei about the situation at home from the bottom of her heart. Even though she was selling vegetables and wine, apart from the capital, she really didn't earn much. He also took out the box where he kept his private money. There was indeed some money in it, but it was only 2 to 3,000 yuan. Seeing so much money, Aunt Yang smiled and said, "Third aunt, I know how often I offend you and keep my mouth shut. If you want to blame, blame me. Please save my Yangzi, he is only 18 years old." As he spoke, he knelt down. Grandma he didn't help her either, just kneel down if you like. I also want to help, but you have to know that there are too many related people in the village. I can't help just one, but I can't help them all. Don't blame me for being cruel. I didn't see a single person helping me with my family's affairs back then. If it weren't for Ens and the others, I wouldn't have helped you with this matter, so there's no point in kneeling down to me. Again, if you want money, you can use your family's fields, land, and mountains to pay for it. Grandma he can't be tempted by her tricks. Kneel down, she is an elder and can afford it. He Jianbei thought about some things there, but it is unclear what he thought of. Finally, he agreed to use his own fields and mountains to find the land, and the land would not be sold. The land was not worth 2 cents. It was only after the reckoning that I found out that He Jianbei's family actually had nearly 10 acres of rice fields, which was of course good and bad. But the best thing is the 3 acres of land and 2 paddy fields under Mei Shui's house. This field is the fattest and flattest. There is a water canal to the 4th group next to it, and there is no shortage of water all year round. They are also the 2 fields that Mei Shui likes most. 5,000 yuan for 10 acres of land was still too much, so they wanted to use the bamboo mountain behind their home as a mortgage, but Mei Shui did not agree. According to Grandma's wishes, their family's fields will have to be redeemed in the future, but Meixiu doesn't want to sell the 2 fields at the door. Uncle Jianbei, we don't want the mountain anymore. We can borrow these 5,000 yuan from your fields as mortgage. However, when you want to redeem them in the future, these 2 pieces of land in front of my house cannot be redeemed. Don't you think so? Grandma he was immediately unhappy when she heard this. She glared at Mei Shui, wanting to know how to refute her. Mei Shui shook her head at her grandma. In the end, Grandma he was defeated by Mei Shui. When she looked at He Jianbei, her eyes were not eyes and her nose was not a nose. He Jianbei sold the land and thought he would make money to redeem it, but when he heard that he couldn't redeem it, he was stunned. Xiaoxiu, why do you need so many fields? She couldn't plant even if there were too many fields. If you ask people to plant crops, the annual harvest will not be enough to cover the labor costs. I want to use it to open a fish pond, so you can't redeem the 2 fields below. If you agree, use your family's field to exchange for 5,000 yuan. If you don't agree, then use your family's mountain for the rest. Come and make up for it. Mei Shui is not a good person, she just wants to get what she wants. After He Jianbei thought for a while, he nodded and agreed, sure, I agree. He had to agree. Of course, he was also grateful. No matter how useless and Anyang was, he was still his biological son. His mother can leave him alone, but he has to take care of his son. After getting this answer, Mei Shui was very happy. Grandma he knew that Xiaoxiu wanted to open a fish pond, but she didn't expect that the opportunity came so suddenly that she couldn't even refuse. The money was counted, 3,000 coins, and the rest was some loose money. Grandma he did this to leave a way out for herself. Genbei, here is just 5,000 yuan. The third aunt is not capable and can't help you for free, but you must also know that no one will lend such a large sum of money. You know whether it is merciful or not. It's not that she wants him to remember the sentiment, she just hopes that he can be grateful at least 2 or 3 times. Looking at the 1 and 2 cent coins left in the money box, he Genbei, a grown man, hugged his third aunt's legs and cried. Third aunt, we of you, my mother doesn't care about my family, she doesn't care, in comparison, third aunt is more like his mother. Even if they are blood brothers, they have to settle the accounts clearly. He should remember this love and this kindness. Not only must he remember it, but his family members must also remember it. As Aunt Yang said, except for the mouth, she can distinguish and see everything else clearly. Third aunt, from now on you will be my mother, my biological mother. After seeing the snot and tears from the 2 crying couples all on her body, Grandma he couldn't help but push them both away. Get out of here, don't even think about dumping all the snot on me. Are you moved? Grandma he didn't feel moved, she just wanted Ans and Xiaoxiu to help each other in the village and have enough foothold. She is the only rich family in a village, so I think she will suffer the same fate as the landowners in the past. She has experienced it before and doesn't want this to happen to them. Go and bring the child back quickly. Don't wander around outside anymore. In a few years, you will have a wife. If you do this, who will marry him? This sentence is sincere. After seeing the 2 of them off, Mei Shui looked at her grandma. Grandma, do you still have any money? Where is it hidden? Mei Shui said, very good at spoiling the atmosphere. Oh, I want you to take care of it. I will never give you any money again. I don't know how much I will give to Grandma. Grandma he walked into the house with a proud look on her face. When Xiao came back in the evening, he found that the atmosphere at home was not right, but he was very well behaved, so it shouldn't be because of him. Mom, Grandma, what's wrong? When he came back, he saw his wife pulling a face there, which made him scared. Mei Shui touched Xiao's dirty little face and said, don't be so naughty, your wife lost a fortune and is on fire. Afterwards, Grandma regretted it. She didn't want the fish pond, so why did she agree to it at that time? Grandma was very angry when she reacted, but she couldn't express her anger to her beloved Xiaoxiu, so she was holding her breath. Xiao was very obedient and went directly into the house to do his homework and accompany his brothers. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 224. Chapter 224, He Anyang. Finally, I had a peaceful night. Unexpectedly, I was caught in the wrong place the next day and was kicked out of the house. Just because it was early, Xiao asked one more question, why there were no eggs this morning. Xiao was aggrieved. People who got up early asked him what happened to Xiao when they saw him. Xiao didn't hide anything and said directly, my wife beat me and refused to give me eggs to eat. She said that the family had no money and could not afford eggs. After finishing speaking, he cried in grievance and cried as he walked. Of course, this was Mei Shui's idea later. No matter what happens, the situation at home will be spread out in a few days, so it is better to leak it out now. The gossips in the village are thinking about it again. There were a lot of stories about the old lady of the He family mistreating her great-grandson. He Genbei finally redeemed his son with the money. When he returned home, He Genbei didn't beat him, but directly showed him a piece of rice paddies selling books. From now on, you will work at home. Spring has just begun, so you can go work for your third grandma. There is no more land for farming at home. He Genbei looked more than 10 years older. Looks like a man in his early 50s. He Anyong also knew that he lost a lot of money this time, but he didn't expect it to be so much. I'm sorry, parents, I will work hard at home in the future and I will definitely buy the land back. After living in the town for so many years, he knew everything he should know and shouldn't. Okay, my dear son, I will help my mother at home from now on. Let's feed more chickens and ducks and plant more land. We will earn back the money. Don't mention it, these two couples really love their son. Hianwei looked at his brother without complaining, he just felt that his brother was not worthy. Brother, when we see that man in the future, we will beat him to death. As soon as he said these words, He Genbei kicked him away. You brat, you still think your family is not in ruins, right? After saying that, he directly picked up the broom beside him and said, I will beat you to death first today. He Anyong and his mother immediately came forward and hugged him. Dad, let me tell you, don't worry, I will definitely take good care of Xiao Yi. His father, you can't beat him to death. If he is beaten to death, you will be the one who feels bad. The news about He Genbei's family spread to the village within a few days. Everyone also knows that his family borrowed money from Aunt He. Many people who said that the old lady abused Xiao realized at this time that the He family really had no money. 5,000 yuan is not a small amount of money. The day after He Anyong came back, he went to the mountain to personally thank his third grandmother and sister-in-law Ans. Grandma He and Mei Shui didn't say much after seeing him and just let him go back. After spring, work in the fields and in the fields will become busy. There are only 2 people in the family, and it must be too busy, so I hired someone in the village. However, when they asked for help, they also said that the salary this time might not be paid until the money was sold, and the family had no money. Some people were reluctant after hearing this and left. The only people who stayed behind were those who were close to them. He Genbei directly took over the work in the fields because his family had no more fields. Grandma He didn't say anything. Anyway, he was more familiar with those things. When it came to the fish pond, Mei Shui found and went and asked him to help call a few young people to dig it. After hearing the news, He Anyong came directly over. He didn't want any money. He came over to help dig fish ponds after finishing the work in the fields every day. He was very distressed to see his fertile rice fields being dug up. I also made up my mind that I will make a difference in the future so that my parents can be happy, and then I can repay the kindness of my third grandma and my sister-in-law. On the Qingming festival in April, Hians came back. After visiting the graves of his family and Mei Shui's parents, he went to the county seat again. I have been very busy with business recently and have less and less time to go home. Mei Shui felt that it didn't matter, since the baby was already born anyway, so she would run around the mountains with Xiaobai every day, so don't feel too comfortable. The sun came out more and more often, so Mei Shui arranged for grandma to take care of the children at home. The 2 children are very well behaved. They don't make any noise or fuss on weekdays. Except when they cry twice or cry loudly when they are frightened, they are quiet and well behaved. Meixiu was also relieved to let her grandma take her with her, and she was not afraid of getting tired. Sister-in-law, look, the peaches here are all in fruit. Anshan followed Meixiu and ran to the back mountain. There were also wild fruit trees here, but they were not taken care of much. Mei Shui took a look and said, it's the same this year. Put these ripe fruits in the cellar and let them sit for a few years. Maybe they will be ready. Mei Shui also wanted to try what the fruit wine tasted like. It's just that last year's ones haven't been completed yet. During the Chinese New Year, she asked Hians to dig 2 3-meter deep and 3-meter wide cellars behind the old house to store these fruits. I also bought a lot of large tanks. Okay, but do you want Boss Jian to take away those medicinal wines? It's time. Anshan has been waiting for the money. Sure, but it's still early for him to come. Aren't you going to get medicine for your aunt in 2 days? You go to the county town with An Wen, just in time to help Hians bring some things there. This wine is too much and must be sold. Okay, 2 days ago brother An Wen said he was going to get medicine for Uncle Jensi, so we just happened to go together. Well, just tell him, and bring wine to Uncle Shi and Uncle Zhao. She met Uncle Zhao during her confinement period, and her health is much better now. These are health drinks, and you can drink about 1 cup a day. Okay, but if we only sell our wine to make money for the boss, what will happen if we make too much wine in the future? Anshan was also thinking about the future. It's okay, we'll talk about it after our wine is sold. If we want to increase production, we need to know whether this batch of wine will work. But she tried it herself and felt pretty good, but she didn't really like drinking. Just like those wines, they were all drank by grandma. Looking at her grandma's hair that turned from white to black, Mei Shui knew that the effect of her medicinal wine was quite powerful. When Anshan heard what his sister-in-law said, he thought that her sister-in-law must have an idea, so he didn't say much more. Xiao Bai led the way, and it was the first time that Mei Shui came to see the hot spring place that Xiao Bai mentioned. However, except for the white stones here, they are still white stones. Mei Shui was speechless, but the temperature of these stones was a bit high. After looking at it, Mei Shui took Anshan back. After returning home, Anshan found An Wen, who was taking care of his baby at home, and told him about going to the county town. An Wen nodded in agreement. The next day, the two of them went to the county town with wine and some things for Hians from Mei Shui's house. When they went there, Grandma He asked them to bring back some cotton cloth. I have to say that the pastries made by Aunt Mei Lian and Aunt Zillian became famous in the town because they would fetch water from Mei Shui from time to time. With Lixia's help, I found a store and now have a fixed storefront to sell pastries. There were so many varieties in it, some of which she had never tasted before, but after one taste, she was no longer interested. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 225. Chapter 225, Fish Fry. Please recommend votes, monthly votes. They were interested in going to the town to develop, but they couldn't let go of all the things at home, so they asked Lixia to hire someone to look after the store there, and they would deliver goods once every 2 days. They make it themselves and sell it cheaper than at the supply and marketing cooperative. Their business is one of the best in town. Mixu didn't care about these things. She only knew that her fish pond was dug, but there was no fish fry, which made her a little annoyed. It's not that she doesn't want to go to the reservoir to get some, but the reservoir is owned by several villages. If she really wants to get it, others will definitely have objections. After learning that she wanted fish fry, He Anyong came to her door. Sister-in-law, I heard from brother An Wen that you want to get some fish fry recently. He has been in the town for so long and knows a lot about the town and outside. Getting fish fry is not a big deal, it's just a little troublesome. It's even harder to get good fry. Yes, the fish pond has been dug out, but it's useless without fish. She has been thinking about the fish pond for a long time, and even the road to the fish pond from her door has been built. If sister-in-law trusts me about this, I can help her get fish fry. He Anyong came with a grateful heart. Mixu looked into his eyes and smiled. Believe it, why don't you believe it? Just help me get more of them. Any kind of fish will do. These 2 fish ponds are really short of fry. How much do you think it will cost? Mei Shui also knew his situation, and it was impossible for him to get it first and then give him the money. Not much, 100 is enough, He Anyong said with a naive smile. Just 100? Is that enough? Mei Shui was a little unconvinced. The total here is no less than 4 acres of fish ponds, not to mention that she also dug out 2 field ridges, so there is quite a bit more land here. 100 yuan, just blow it? Don't do stupid things, Don't go astray if you can buy it with money. Mei Shui was a little worried. Hearing his sister-in-law's caring words, he felt warm in his heart. With so many direct relatives, excluding those in the village, his sister-in-law was the only one who was worried about him. That's enough, I'm familiar with that boss. He not only sells fish fry, but we can also sell fish to him when the fish gets bigger. He has a fish collection shop next to the fish market. He told the details just to prove that he had no intention of doing anything bad. Then, I'll give you the money, but don't do bad things. Mei Shui took out two 50-50 bills from her arms. They were a bit old. Don't worry, sister-in-law, leave this matter to me and I will help you handle it properly. He Anyang was very excited when he saw the money. After he came back, everyone in the village was afraid of him and hid when they saw him. Unexpectedly, his sister-in-law actually gave the money to him directly. Why are you crying? Mei Shui said a little wisely. I didn't bully you. She really didn't hit anyone, she testified. He Anyang quickly shook his head when he heard this. No, my sister-in-law didn't bully me. It would be okay if I didn't say this, but it really felt like I was being bullied. Meixue couldn't do anything to him. Okay, go quickly and remember to buy me the fry. After sending He Anyang away, Mei Shui waited expectantly, waiting for her fish pond to be full. 3 days later, Mei Shui was teaching Xiao how to make milk for the children at home when she heard voices in the fish pond below. She hurried to the front of the hospital to take a look. Happy. He Anyang, what are you doing? She saw a familiar person. He Anyang heard the cry and looked at the sound. Sister-in-law, sister-in-law. He waved his wet hands. I bought the fry. Because I was in a hurry to show off, I didn't see the road behind me clearly for a moment, and I slipped directly into the fish pond. With a plop, the whole person fell into the fish pond. Mom, don't crush my fish pond, Mei Shui said anxiously. Xiao, watch your brothers. Mom, go down and take a look. The path from her yard to the fish pond has long been repaired, so Mei Shui ran down it. After saying that, Xiao wanted to go too, but looking at his younger brother in the stroller, he thought, forget it, the younger brother is more important. As soon as she arrived downstairs, Mei Shui saw several strangers. He Anyang, who are they? These people were wandering around her fish pond, and Mei Shui was afraid that these people were coming to check on her. Sister-in-law He Anyang was all wet and shivered when he got up from the fish pond. They are Boss Wang's associates in the town. They are here to deliver fish fry to you. Boss Huang will collect these fish when they grow up, He Anyang said, claiming credit. Meixue had never thought about who she was going to sell these fish to. She nodded after hearing this. Well done, you can't do it like this. Although the sun is shining, it's still cold. You go back and change clothes first. I'm afraid that if he catches a cold later, he will have to pay for the medical expenses himself. It's okay, I'm not cold. They released the fry and left. I'll wait for them, He Anyang said with a silly smile. It's up to you. After they have seen the environment, they put bags of fry into the water. Little girl, the temperature of this fish pond is good. You have to remember to change the water from time to time, otherwise it will be difficult to raise these fish, Boss Huang said kindly. Is there anything else? Mei Shui didn't know much about fish farming, but she had enough water. This was her confidence, and she wasn't afraid that the fish would die. Thank you, I've written it down. If there's anything else I need to pay attention to, please let me know, Mei Shui asked. So the two gangsters also told Mei Shui some things to pay attention to. They will also come here to collect fish from now on, and the wages will be indispensable. Long-term investment. When these people left, Mei Shui still took 2 packs of cigarettes from Uncle Jensi with a wink, as a thank you to them. The two of them were very happy after receiving the cigarette, and they felt a little more sincere about this place. After sending these people away, Mei Shui looked at He Anyang. Yes, things were done well. From now on, I will leave the work of the fish pond to you. I will give you a big red envelope when I sell the fish, Mei Shui said happily. When He Anyong heard this, he was very happy, but said, "Sister-in-law, forget about the red envelope, I will just catch a few to eat." At that time, the people in the village did not like fish very much, but they liked the small fish in the stream more. Otherwise, there would be many people going to the pool on Chaotian Mountain. In the end, An Liang and the others were benefited. He Anyong has heard a lot about the great things his sister-in-law has done in the past few days since he came back. He wants to make some money with his sister-in-law. But I was too embarrassed to open my mouth to speak, so I could only take it slowly step by step. After the fish landed in the pond, Mei Shui and Xiaobai put some space water into the fish pond when no one was around. Of course, she didn't put too much, for fear of attracting those terrible animals. If it's like Huishan, I'm afraid An-Wen and Anshan won't be able to catch them all if they stay here all the time. Having a mountain to back up is great. There are so many small animals to catch and you can't even eat them all. And deep in the back mountain, Mei Shui asked He Anwei and others to dig a hole, but she didn't know if they could dig out a hot spring. Anyway, if you can just give them some candies, why not do it? Don't stop voting. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 226. Chapter 226, Harvest Festival. Please recommend and vote for me. May is a good harvest month. Hians was busy with matters in the county and rushed back immediately. This time he came in the car of Gugong and Guji. That's right, Gugong got some vegetables last time and made a lot of money with those vegetables. When he came this time, he came directly to the county town to pick up Hians. Anyway, he would go back every month. Brother your food is so popular, not to mention, there is no food in Mingcheng that tastes better than yours. He has benefited a lot from these dishes. The old man can now eat a bowl of rice normally. Not only that, but he can also get out of bed and walk around every day. Unlike before, he couldn't eat or get out of bed. Hians really didn't know how good his own food was, but in terms of taste, he only thought it was delicious cooked by his wife or grandma. If it sells well, bring back more, Hians said politely. That's a good feeling. Alas, he was happy, but he knew that Hian couldn't make the decision. Boss Jian disagrees. You don't know how evil he is, so Guji started selling Jianxiang's ugliness in front of Hians. Hians was stunned for a while after hearing this. He thought it was time for him to learn more about his own cuisine. It's okay, many people in the village bought seeds from my house this year. There should be a lot of vegetables, and he can't take away so much. Really, last time he came here, he didn't hear that anyone in the village could grow the same vegetables as Grandma He's. Really, Grandma said last time that all the vegetables at home were bought up by the people in the village. I only have such a large land and can plant so many vegetables, but it's impossible to plant them all. That's good, haha, that's good. It would be great to be able to bring more food back. I don't know if Boss Jian is here today. It would be great if he is not here. No matter what Guji thinks, Mei Shui and her grandma have tried the vegetables grown from the seeds. The taste is much stronger than before. Of course, it is still far from her family's vegetables. I think this time the villagers' vegetables will be sold at a good price. Grandma, would you like Xianxiang to see the food of those in the village? Mei Shui asked, looking at the two cars that came early in the morning. Last time, Anshan and the others were asked to go to town to bring a message to Uncle Zhao and tell him about the people in the village. Unexpectedly, 2 large trucks came this time. Well, I'll ask the village chief to take them there later, Grandma he reluctantly replied. As long as it doesn't affect her family's vegetable sales, nothing else matters. Well, let Anshan invite the village chief over later. Mei Shui was also reluctant to deal with these matters. Okay, don't worry about these things. Take the children out for a walk quickly. These 2 children have become sperms and are only a little older. They want to go out every day. Perhaps because they are used to walking every day, the two children are thinking about going out as soon as they wake up in the morning. If you don't take them out to play, the two little guys won't let you sleep for half a day, and they will be really energetic. Okay, I'll take them to Aunt Millian's house and show them the chickens. The two children became more and more shrewd. Well, go ahead, I'll take care of the family matters. Grandma. He was afraid that Xiaoxiu was thin-skinned and would not be able to say many things. By the way, remember to call Anwen and the others over. There are too few people at home, and every time we sell vegetables, we have to ask people to come to the house to help. Grandma will think of He-Ans, and when she thinks of him, she wants to beat him up. I haven't moved for a long time, and my hands are itchy. He-Anyong has been very discerning recently. As soon as he saw the car coming from the village, he immediately came to the third grandmother's house and waited for the third grandmother's arrangements. I was also very careful when I showed my sister-in-law the fish pond. It is very responsible to add new fodder to the fish pond every day. When He-Anyong came up, he met Mei Shui and went to Aunt Millian's house. Sister-in-law is taking the children out to play. Anyong is here. You came just in time. Go and help my grandma look after her. The family is busy today, Mei Shui said without being polite at all. Okay, I was just worried that you and the third grandma would be too busy, so I came up here, He-Anyong said happily after being arranged. That's it, go ahead and be careful about the wine vat over there in the old house, don't let anyone break it. Those medicinal wines are their main purpose today. She is very confident in the wine she makes, and novices say she is very talented. Well, I took note of it. It happened that Anwen and Anshan also came out after breakfast. Sister-in-law, I'm going to find the village chief. Anshan was very excited. Since the beginning of spring, he and brother Anwen have caught a lot of snakes, and those snakes are not big. Small. Go. Anwen took Anyong directly to the old house. Not only Uncle Zhao is here today, but also Uncle Shi. He is very good. Last time Anwen gave him some wine, he had been thinking about it. If he hadn't been stopped by Boss Zhao, he would have come back with Anwen and the others that day. Soon a group of people were walking up the mountain. Those who grew vegetables in the village also gathered around, wanting to ask if they could harvest the vegetables in their own fields. It was agreed at the beginning that selling seeds would not include selling vegetables. They also want more income, so how can they not be anxious? Mei Shui doesn't want to deal with these things, let alone deal with them. It's troublesome. Xiaoxiu brought the children over to watch the chickens again. Seeing Xiaoxiu pushing the two children down, Aunt Mei Lian immediately came forward to greet them. Well, they won't go to bed unless they have a good time. There was nothing she could do about it. Haha, that's not bad, it proves that the children are smart. Aunt Mei Lian laughed. Little babies, have you missed grandma? Aunt Millian didn't care about that and picked up a child. Meixiu knows that there is another one who must be picked up, otherwise she will cry to you. I sat down in the yard with my two children in my arms. The chickens were shut up on the right side of the yard. There were too many chickens and it was very noisy. The smell was also very strong, but the two children seemed to have no feeling. They kept gesticulating happily with their hands, not knowing what they wanted to do. Xiao Peng, do you want to eat chicken? When you are older, can grandma kill the chicken for you? Aunt Mei Lian happily teased the child in her arms. The children are now more than 7 months old. They are a bit big and heavy. Xiao cannot hold them for a long time now. So the task of taking care of the children was handed over to Mei Shui. Fortunately, most of the things at home were done by hiring helpers, which was considered the only one in the village. Boss Jian and the others are here to bring food again today, Mei Lianchan asked after playing around for a while. Well, didn't I ask Anshan to inform them last time? The wine just happened to be ready, so I asked them to take it away together. There is almost no room for it at home, Mei Shui nodded. Well, we took away a lot of vegetables last time, but this time many people in the village have planted them. I don't know if Boss Jian has harvested so much land. In fact, Aunt Mei Lian was a little worried. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 227. Chapter 227. The boss is here. If the boss can't collect that much money, what should we do with the unsold vegetables in the village? Those people will definitely make a noise and say some unpleasant things. Of course Mei Shui understood what Aunt Mei Lian meant. I told you when we first sold seeds that our family does not sell vegetables, she said disapprovingly. That's what I say, but some people's hearts are not so kind, so you and third aunt should be careful. You know, I'm not afraid that those people will come to the door, but I'm afraid that they won't come. You know, Grandma hasn't done anything for a long time, and her bones are rusty. It would be nice if Ans was at home, but he is also busy, so you'd better be careful at night. If you're not afraid of thieves, you're afraid of them worrying about you. It's okay. Compared with the other 10 people in the village, none of them can match me. Mei Shui doesn't have to worry about this at all. There was nothing he could do about her. Okay, there will definitely be a lot of people at noon today, so I'll go and help third aunt cook together. Her chickens can be sold today, and she doesn't know how many of them Boss Jian will take away. In fact, they all thought too much. Before the Chinese New Year, Qian Xiang knew that Mei Shui and Grandma He wanted to sell seeds. He also calculated that people in the village would grow vegetables this year, so he had already opened another restaurant in Hexi, Mingcheng. It just depends on the vegetables grown by the villagers. He had wandered around the village the last time he came here. There are many places to grow vegetables in the village, so there will definitely be no shortage of vegetables. His specialty is this kind of delicious food, and he is not afraid of anyone taking his business. The benefits that Guji's family has brought to him by opening a vegetable store are also obvious. People who are in the same circle as the Gu family have been coming to the store to eat more frequently recently. The Gu family has a certain amount of vegetables. Except for their own use, there are really not many vegetables that can be sold, and they are very expensive. Of course, Qian Xiang would not admit that he set the price. Ordinary people would spend more than half a month's salary to eat a bite of these vegetables. Who in the city would be so willing to do so? You can afford food for less than $2, so it would be a good idea to open another branch. He had already planned this. Don't tell me, business people's brains are just different. After Qian Xiang had just picked 4/5 of his vegetables, he started to wander around the village. When he saw that the vegetables grown by those in the village were no worse than those at Grandma He's house, he was so happy that he directly picked a piece of cabbage leaf and put it into his mouth to chew. The more he chewed, the tighter his frown became. Finally sighed, "Take it, these vegetables will be charged at 50 cents per caddy." This is the highest price he can give. As soon as they heard the price of 50 cents per pound, the people in the village screamed one by one, and while screaming, they dragged the people back to their homes. And Qian Xiang returned to Grandma He's home. Looking at the two old men sitting there sulking, he smiled silently. "Grandma He, the food of those people in the village is still incomparable to yours since there were no outsiders here," Qian Xiang said straightforwardly. Uncle Shi had an unhappy look on his face. "Otherwise, do you think everyone can grow such delicious food?" He had been here for so long without even taking a sip of the wine, and he felt very unhappy. Instead, Grandma He laughed and said, "It's good to be better than before. It doesn't matter how much my family spent on these vegetables." Meixiu was speechless after hearing these words. How come she didn't know the price? Isn't it just that some space water was added to it? If she didn't know her grandma's background, Mei Shui would have suspected that her grandma knew that she had space. Qian Xiang sighed, Yes, not everyone has this skill, but the food in your village is much better than the food outside. This is why he spent 50 cents a pound to buy it. Better than nothing. Okay, is everyone here? Let's eat. When everyone is here, a lot of dishes were cooked today. If they hadn't brought rice and vegetables themselves, Grandma he wouldn't have planned to serve them. Of course, Xiang also raised the price of vegetables this year. For vegetables, he mentioned 1.5 yuan for all vegetables. Eggplants and other vegetables were all 2 yuan a caddy. There were also some side dishes, etc. The prices were higher than before. Several times higher. That's why Grandma he was so nice to him. It's okay, let's eat first and leave some for them. Qian Xiang was also hungry, but those who bought things in the village wouldn't be able to come back for a while. Okay, let's eat. Grandma he didn't show any pretense. While they were eating, Hian's and Guji's car also arrived at the creek. Seeing the loaded car in front, Guji felt uneasy. Damn it, he actually came early, and I was even a day ahead of schedule. I had my own little idea, but I didn't expect that he was actually faster than me. Hian's was speechless. But thinking about his relatives at home, his steps were obviously faster than Guji's. Guji only brought his cousin. He couldn't take leave often, so he left the business of pulling vegetables here in the future, and he and his wife took care of the business in the store. When they arrived outside the yard, the smell of rice rushed to Guji's noses. It smells so good, cousin, I'm hungry. Guji's cousin drooled. Guji weighed the things in his hands, thinking he could get a meal. Let's go in. The arrival of Hians and the others made everyone look like two faces. The He family was happy, and Qian Xiang was unhappy. Stop standing around and come over to eat. If you have anything to do, eat first. After all, he was his grandson, so he was very happy to see him back to congratulate his grandma. Mei Shui took the initiative to get bowls and chopsticks for Hians, which made Hians excited. Xiaoxiu, I miss you. Hians, who was following her, couldn't help but said. Meixiu also had a sense of shame. There were so many people outside the kitchen. There are so many people, hurry up and get it and go out to eat. After saying that, she turned around and left the kitchen. After lunch, Guji ignored the pleasantries and went to the back mountain to see the vegetables Qian Xiang had left for him. When he saw that all the ripe vegetables were almost picked, he was so angry that he vomited blood. Anshan also took Guji to the land left for him by Qian Xiang. Gu Gongan, these are all left to you by Boss Qian. Gujiwi, why didn't you come earlier? Why? Feeling distressed, I took my cousin to work. Seeing how lonely the two were, Anshan couldn't help but join them. Fortunately, there are not too many vegetables, and we can almost pick them in 2 hours. Guji also learned from Anshan's mouth that everyone in the village grew vegetables and bought the seeds from Grandma He's house, and his eyes lit up. Qian Ans took away a lot of goods this time. Except for the Anwen family's pigs, which were too small, he also took away all the chickens and ducks, even though each one was not too big. Chickens only weigh about 4 or 5 kilograms each, and ducks don't weigh much either. In the past, chickens weighing less than 8 or 9 kilograms were not sold, but there were ways to eat tender ones. He was still afraid that Guji would get the first advantage. Don't stop voting. Everyone recommends monthly voting. Thank you. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 228. Chapter 228, Hian's Thoughts. Guji didn't get any chicken, but he bought some from other people's homes in the village and took them home. It wasn't until the sun went down that Guji's affairs were finished, and Zhu Meishui also left some, planning to give them to Guji as a thank you. Guji didn't pay much attention to the wine. It wasn't until he went home and drank that he understood why Qian Xiang left so quickly. It was because he was not honest. The next day I went to Qian Xiang's store to cause trouble. The He family didn't know about these things. It was a beautiful day for their family to reunite. "Dad, what gift did I bring you back this time?" Xiao followed his dad as soon as school was over, not moving forward. Looking at his eagerness to please, even Grandma he smiled. "Yes, but I didn't buy you a bicycle. I bought you a lot of books. There are a lot of little books for you at this time. Xiao is still young, so he doesn't need to study hard. Besides, his grades are still good according to the teacher." "Very good." Mei Shui's eyes lit up when she saw Hian's taking out those little books. "How much did you buy for this?" She liked it at first sight. This was the first time Hian saw such an excited expression on Xiaoxiu's face. "Not many, just 4 or 5. If you like it, buy more when I come back next time. Don't say it, this little book is quite nice." "Of." Meixiu flipped through 2 books and asked, "Are these all the same set?" She found that the stories in them were all coherent. "Well, this set is Journey to the West, the best-selling set recently, and there are others. I didn't expect you would like to read it, so I didn't buy it." Hians felt a little embarrassed. From the time he got married to now, he seems to have never had a gift that made Xiaoxiu so happy. "Okay, help me buy a few more sets next time, but let her see the set first." Xiao also likes it very much, but seeing his mother smiling so happily, forget it, he can read it later, or he can read the later part first. The things Hians bought made everyone very satisfied. But at night, when everyone was resting under the eaves, Grandma he told Hians what happened today. After hearing this, Hians felt that his daughter-in-law was even more amazing, but he was too far behind. Grandma is right. From now on, our family will only grow so many vegetables. If we grow too much, it will take away the business of the villagers. I am often away from home, and you have to watch all the work. I feel bad." Mei Shui hugged her boss and glanced at Hians. "You can choose to come back." She thought it would be good to come back. What's so good about the precarious days outside? Grandma he smiled. She knew what Ans was thinking. Just let him work outside for a few years, otherwise he will regret it when he gets old. Hians also felt a little embarrassed. "Xiaoxiu, why don't you, Grandma and Xiao come with me to live in the county town?" Meixiu immediately shook her head after hearing this. "No, I don't like it. I like it here better." Why should she leave? Her fish pond has just been opened, and the back mountain has been excavated. Maybe the hot spring water will come out. Her dream is the manor, and there is no place better than here. Yes, I knew she would say this. How about you wait for me for a few more years? Then I will be with you, the children, and Grandma every day, Hian said very guiltily. It's okay, you can go and do your work. It's enough to come back once a month anyway. She can live a good life when she is not at home. Hians was heartbroken when he saw the lack of nostalgia on his wife's face. After the family has discussed and arranged the future affairs, they go back to their houses. Now that the children are older, Mei Shui has already moved upstairs to live. She already has her own secret, and it is much more convenient to live on the second floor. Seeing that the young couple had not seen each other for a long time, Grandma he opened her mouth and left the 2 children behind. Grandma took the child to bed for more than a day or 2. Mei Shui was very calm, but she didn't think much about it. Hian's eyes were filled with gratitude. That night, Hian's was thrown into the red wave, and Mei Shui was destined to get up late the next day. It didn't take long before his physical strength easily defeated her. When she got up in the morning, Mei Shui sent Hian's the word animal. Grandma he woke up early. Xiao has to go to school today, so she has to get up and make breakfast for him. Even though the grandfather and grandson always quarreled and got slapped, Grandma he did a good job of taking care of her. Madam, I'm going to school after breakfast, Xiao waved to his wife. Go, slow down on the road, don't play, go to school early. The school is in the brigade, a little way away from home. I know, madam, don't be in a hurry to go up the mountain and wait for Dad to get up. Hearing the warm and considerate words of the two, Hans couldn't bear to interrupt their conversation when he woke up. In the end, Xiao was called away from home by his friends at the foot of the mountain. "Grandma, do you want my help? He was tired from yesterday and took a nap for a while." "Are the children awake?" "Grandma," he looked at her grandson walking down the stairs with a happy face. Please stop tossing Xiaoxiu, she has been very tired recently." Hans blushed and said, "I'm going to see the children." "Grandma," he rolled her eyes at him, "don't wake them up, they have to sleep for a while before they get up. When the snow starts to fall, the lunch at home will be delicious." After going downstairs, Mei Shui took a look at the children. After seeing that they were playing well, she went to wash her face and brush her teeth. Hans was surrounded the whole time and apologized softly, "Daughter-in-law, you're up. Are you hungry? Come, let me come, and I will get you water to wash your face." Meixia glanced at him and ignored him. Of course she would be happy to have someone serve her. At the lunch table, Xiao also wanted to come back for lunch, but today he came early and left early. By now, Mei Shui got up late and didn't meet Xiao. "Grandma Xiaoxiu, let me tell you something he forgot about yesterday. There were too many things at home, and he couldn't recover for a while." "What's the matter, Grandma?" He stopped her chopsticks and looked at him seriously and asked. Mei Shui kept using her chopsticks, but just glanced at him. "I quit the store in the county town. It was originally a partnership between 3 people. Now I quit and it is now owned by Fang Kai and Li Fei." Upon hearing this, Grandma he raised her eyebrows and asked, "How much does it cost to withdraw? Is there any loss?" Hans shook his head and said, "How can I lose money? I still made more than 10,000 points. In 1 year, it can be considered a big profit. The main reason is that they get the goods cheaply. If they get the goods in Mingcheng, it will definitely be expensive. Coupled with having my own car, I saved a lot of money on freight. It's good if you don't lose money. Partnership business is not easy to do. If you ask me, you should stop working on your team and quit." Grandma he agreed with her face. Mei Shui knew her grandma well. If Hans said he had lost money, he might have been beaten. Fortunately, he said he had made a profit, and he had made a lot of money. "I just want to expand the fleet now. The transportation business is getting better and better. I can't separate the two ends by myself, so I quit the electrical appliance store." If he could, he really didn't want to leave. That's a shop that makes money every day. Mei Shui swallowed the food in her mouth and said, "It's up to you. You can make your own decision." She had no objection to these things. According to her opinion, nothing is as practical as doing it yourself. Of course, if you don't want to do something, let's talk about it separately. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 229. Chapter 229, The Thoughts of the Old Men. "How about I expand the fleet?" Hans still wanted to get Xiaoxiu's consent. Mei Shui stopped her chopsticks and asked, "How much does it cost?" She thought he wanted to ask her for money. Hans was a little confused. "How much does it cost? How much money do you want?" "I'll see if I have enough at home. If it's not enough, just sell some gold bars." She doesn't like those cars, but that doesn't mean they aren't expensive. In this day and age, big trucks like that are not cheap. This is also the reason why the 3 of them only bought 1 car at the beginning. "I have money." Hans was speechless. Is he the kind of person who comes back and asks for money? "Daughter-in-law, your man can still make money." He felt aggrieved. "Grandma," he looked disdainful, "no matter how much I earn, it's not as much as Xiaoxiu. I already have 10,000 yuan in cash. How about Grandma take it out and count it for you?" After Hans heard this, he shut his mouth obediently. "Forget it, my wife and grandma are too tough, don't touch them, they will hurt them. After lunch, Mei Shui took the children for a walk in the yard and then walked to the old house to eat. Hians followed him all the time. Xiaoxiu, are you angry that I haven't been with you at home? After getting married, she will definitely have thoughts if her man is not at home for a long time. Meixia glanced at him and said, no one sleeps better than you, to be honest. Hianzil said, no, they say women need nourishment from men. Without me, Xiaoxiu, you won't be beautiful anymore. Now this man talks dirty words whenever he opens his mouth. I don't think I'm still so beautiful. As long as there is space, there will be no time when she is not beautiful. Looking at his wife's proud little eyes, Hians couldn't help but step forward and kiss her. Xiaoxiu, I miss you so much. Really, I dream of you every night. Mei Shui was speechless. You can forget about me, I don't want to appear in your dream. Looking at his eyes, you knew that the dream was definitely not a good dream. There isn't much work in the fields now, why don't you come with me to the county town to stay for a few days? Hians tempted, you said you were comfortable yesterday. Mei Shui wants to hit someone, really? Is that what she wanted to say? Obviously she forced herself to say it, otherwise how could she sleep if he didn't stop? He, a man's mouth is full of lies. I won't go. I won't go even if I say I won't go. Mei Shui was a little angry. Well, seeing his wife angry, Hians didn't dare to tease her too much. Okay, I'll listen to you, if you don't go, I'll come back every month to stay with you. After holding the child up and looking around, the two little ones were about to go to sleep. Mei Shui took the children home without paying attention to Hians. When he was going back, Hians met Hianyang and asked, Xiaoyang, why are you here? Seeing Xiaoyang mowing the grass, Hians opened his mouth and asked. Brother Ans. Hianyang was a little embarrassed. It was too hard to talk about what he had done. Well, what are you doing here mowing the grass? Hians didn't fully understand the changes in his home. After he finished chatting with Hianyang, he found out that not only had he lent 5,000 yuan to Uncle Zhenbei, but he had also opened a fish pond. His wife was not giving him any way to survive, and was forcing him to come back and be raised. Okay, go and get busy. Don't worry about the money. Take it step by step. Don't go wandering around the town anymore. It's not a long-term solution. I heard that there seems to be a crackdown recently. It's better to stay at home than outside. This is what he means. Hianyang is also a person who knows what is good and what is bad, and his heart warmed even more when he heard this. Hians came back and stayed for several days, and also learned about his family's current status in the village. Needless to say, he was jealous. Of course, I am even more grateful in my heart, thank you Xiaoxiu, she brought these. Vegetables were sold well in the village. Guji pulled a cart full of vegetables, some of which were not yet cooked. He also planned to come back some time later. He made up his mind that he would come earlier than Boss Jian. As soon as Qian Xiang came back, his old man and Uncle Shi divided up 1/3 of the wine. It's quite a lot. Fortunately, he took away all the wine this time, otherwise he wouldn't have anywhere to cry. In the small courtyard of the Zhao family. How come this girl is so capable? After one glass of this wine, I feel warm all over my body. This medicine is too strong. Uncle Shi put down the wine glass in his hand and said with emotion. Mr. Zhao glanced at his old brother. Seeing that there was no calculation in his eyes, he sighed inwardly, that's his skill. If you don't accept it, go ahead and brew it. I really want to, but I am a rough man. I really can't do these things. Even if you give me the prescription, I may not be able to do it. He still knows how many pounds he has. Don't test her here. I have no intention of touching her. On the contrary, I think their family is very interesting. How could Uncle Shi not understand the heart of his old friend? So, you can go to Hejiakan for retirement. Didn't you say you were going to stay for a few days last time? Mr. Zhao said with a careless smile. I thought about it, but May Day is coming and I have to go back to Beijing. Unlike you, you don't have to do anything when you're paralyzed. I'm envious. Heh, do you think I am willing to be a restaurant owner in this small county? If it weren't for my body, do you think the Ijun would have quit? If it weren't for the fact that they had more enemies, would their family need to stay away from Kyoto? Then what can I do? If you are weaker than others, you have to hide. I am hiding too. There is also the old Cheng family, and even the grandson is missing, but what can he do? Speaking of matters in Kyoto, both old men sighed heavily. It's also the fault of the boy from the Cheng family. If he hadn't been able to control himself, he wouldn't have been plotted against and ended up harming his family. Mr. Zhao sighed. But what can I do? I'm forced to do so from above. After chatting for a while, Uncle Shi thought of several of his friends and hoped that this wouldn't last long. I plan to take some back to those old guys. They are all half dead and have suffered for so many years. Now times have finally changed and it is time to enjoy happiness. Uncle Shi felt sorry for his old friends. If possible, let them all leave Beijing. It is a whirlpool right now, and they may fall into it at any time. Then they must listen to my advice. Do you think Lao Cheng is willing to move? Then let them go. It's better than waiting to die. If you're not careful, someone will trick you. He will have to wait until all the juniors below are transferred before he can leave with peace of mind. Forget it, you go back and ask this time to see if anyone is willing to come. If you can come, buy a piece of land in Hejia village and live there for your retirement. Don't mix it, I'm old. It's a good idea, but I don't know if the older sister will welcome it or not. Uncle Shi's mind was surging. Heh, you're a thief. I'd be surprised if people didn't drive you away. You actually stole for wine. That's because you haven't tasted the wine. It's much better than the wine from abroad. When talking about wine, Uncle Shi couldn't calm down. Then you steal? Mr. Zhao was so angry at him. It was so embarrassing. I didn't steal it. I just drank a little, just a little. Uncle Shi refused to admit it. We ushered in the evening by chatting and laughing. Don't stop voting, darlings, please recommend votes, ask for monthly tickets, and ask for full subscriptions. Thank you for supporting the original version. I love you. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 230. Chapter 230, Stupid Things. Please vote for recommendations, please vote for the month. Boss Zhao helped him prepare for Uncle Shi's return to Beijing, and also sent him the wine. Let him take it by himself. Come on, don't let him drink it all on the road. Mei Shui didn't know that because of the effects of her wine and space water, a group of old men and women came here to admire her. It was time for He-Ans to leave home again, and he was really reluctant to leave. At night, he dragged his wife to have a passionate love affair with her. Daughter-in-law, please accompany me to the county seat. No, I won't go. Go, take the children and come with me. I said no, no. Mei Shui was a little out of breath. You are enough, are you enough? The beasts are not as strong as him. Not enough, not enough, not enough. This night, the moon shyly hid in the clouds. Mei Shui was not let go by him until the rooster crowed. Finally, when Grandma's screams were heard outside, He-Ans let out a loud roar. Mei Shui wanted to kill someone, but she couldn't move her hands or feet. Get out of here! Mei Shui's throat was hoarse. If the two hadn't hugged each other, He-Ans might not have been able to hear her voice. Seeing his wife getting angry, He-Ans did not dare to offend Xia Yun again, fearing that he would not be able to return to his room next time. He-Ans left home again, but this time he was not treated so well. His wife couldn't get up to see him off, and Grandma couldn't get out of bed when she saw that he tortured her Xiaoxiu, and she didn't have a good look towards him. There was never a time when she looked forward to him leaving so much. May passed very quickly. Because the first test of water in the village was successful, everyone in the village was very enthusiastic about growing vegetables, and one by one they increased the amount of vegetables planted. Those whose natal families followed the planting were not so lucky, but after learning the price here, they were not in a hurry. When the vegetables were ripe, they would sell them in Yuntown. I dare not say that it will be sold for 50 cents per caddy, but at least 30 cents is still available. Unknowingly, Hejiakin's cuisine has become famous. After Hian's left, Mei Shui finally breathed a sigh of relief and finally took the time to visit Xiaobai. When she arrived, she heard Hianwei directing everyone to dig holes. This won't work. There are rocks down here. Come on, let's change places. There are pits dug everywhere here. People who don't know it think there is gold in the ground. Xiao Yi, have you dug out the water? Mei Shui called to Hianwei as soon as she got closer. Sister-in-law, you're here, and it's not there yet. There are rocks underneath, so it's very difficult to dig. If he hadn't believed in his sister-in-law, he would have felt stupid. Xiao Bai also ran over. Master, it's quick, but they are too weak. It may take some days to reach the big pit. In the eyes of outsiders, Xiaobai barks at its owner. Mixu knelt down and picked up Xiaobai. Stop barking, noisy. She understood, but she didn't have high hopes. Xiao Yi, don't dig these small holes, just dig the big one. Mei Shui understood Xiaobai's meaning. But they couldn't understand it. Even if Xiaobai tried to stop them, none of them understood the dog language. Sister-in-law, do you still need to dig when the digging is so deep? It's too deep, and I'm a little scared to go down any further. It's okay, just dig there, and dig a few more meters. If it doesn't come out, then stop digging. Xiaobai is a scammer. That's okay, but sister-in-law, you have to buy us some flashlights. It's too dark down there. The pit was at least 4 meters long. It wasn't a big pit to begin with, and the light became increasingly unclear as it went down. This is no problem. I'll bring it to you in 2 days. If you're scared, stop digging. Go back and rest for 2 days. They are also paid to dig holes in Mei Shui here. As soon as they heard it was time to rest, they all shook their heads like a rattle. No, sister-in-law, we are not afraid, not afraid. Several people who came with Hianwei immediately denied it. Hianwei was speechless. Who complained to him that the bottom was dark? Really? That's okay. If you don't want to rest, fill in these holes. There are holes everywhere. I'm really not afraid of falling in, Mei Shui said happily. With only 50 cents a day, how could they find such a good thing? How could they want to stop working? After seeing it, Mei Shui took Xiaobai and left here. Xiaobai, I seem to have done something wrong. Mei Shui felt a little regretful when she thought about giving those drinks to Uncle Shi and the others. The ones sold to Qianziang were fine, but the ones brewed by oneself had a lot of space water added to them. On impulse, she gave it away. Master, what stupid thing have you done? Xiaobai was a little bit brave, raised his dog's head vigorously, looked at the master and asked. I gave the medicinal wine mixed with space water to Mr. Shi and Mr. Zhao. Mei Shui regretted. I really forgot that I put too much space water. Ah, master, aren't you causing trouble? Master, what is that space? What a divine thing. This is for mortals to drink, then. It's over, master, you've really caused a big trouble now. Let alone the space water, the power of the medicinal wine itself is surprising, let alone the space water. What should we do? Mei Shui was also a little anxious. She really didn't want to expose the matter of space. Xiaobai lowered his head and thought for a while. Master, are you free this afternoon? I'll take you to Yunwu Mountain. There are some older medicines there. What are you going to do? Mei Shui was confused. Xiaobai glanced at his master with some fear. You have caused such a big disaster, we can't prepare for it. What are you preparing for? Mei Shui didn't understand. Prepare the magic medicine, otherwise you want to expose the space. Xiaobai was anxious. Is there any magic medicine on the mountain? Didn't you pull it out last time? Mei Shui became unhappy when she heard this. You lied to me, very angry. Who doesn't like good things? Xiaobai quickly shook his head and said, Master, please don't accuse me wrongly. It's not that I don't want to pull out the medicinal materials, but that I can't pull them out. He found an excuse to get away. Oh, you dog, your skin is tight. Mei Shui pinched Xiaobai's dog's neck tightly. How dare you hide your secrets? Of course, she was not really angry. Master is wrong. That's what I signed up for. You can't let me risk my life wrongful and pitiful. Oh, then why are you taking me there now? Think she is stupid? If you don't come up with something useful, do you think those old people will believe it? Fang Ziyi is not that magical. Then I have to thank you. Mei Shui smiled sarcastically. You're welcome. Helping the master means helping myself. It's important to save the dog's life. So, in the afternoon, Mei Shui took Xiaobai into Yunwu mountain and followed Xiaobai, otherwise she might not be able to reach the top of the mountain. It is also strange here, and I don't know how these thick fogs are formed. They are all the same as becoming spirits. At the top of the mountain, Mei Shui saw a Taoist temple here, and Xiaobai went straight to the back of the Taoist temple. Mei Shui hurriedly followed. End of this chapter. 80s, The Farmer's Wife is the Boss. Author, Village Girl in City. Chapter 231. Chapter 231, Xiaobai's Baby. In just a blink of an eye, Xiaobai took out a box from behind. The master gives? Mei Shui was speechless. Is this where you hide the treasure? Mei Shui asked with a smile. The little white-haired one smiled and said, No, master, there is nothing here anymore. You see, this was originally a place for growing elixirs. Last time, I pulled out all the old ones. It swears that what it says is true. Mixu is not really thinking about its treasure. Even if she is the master, how can she take its things? It's just that I haven't seen anything good and I just want to open my eyes. Xiaobai, are you really not going to take me to see it? There is no dust on this box. I guess it comes here from time to time, right? The little white dog had a constipated look on his face. Master, do you really want to go? He still felt a little bit reluctant to leave. If you don't want to, forget it, Mei Shui said and drove away. No, master, I will take you there, woohoo, poor dog. But when Mei Shui followed Xiaobai to its treasure hiding place, she lost interest. These are the elixirs you call? She heard from Xiaobai that there used to be gods in this world, but now, they have long disappeared. However, many legends have been passed down. Yes, this root is the 10,000 years ginseng, which was left to me by my parents. It looked reluctant to part with it. This was given by the previous owner. This is my own collection. These things are at least 1,000 years old. If eaten by mortals, they would not be a great supplement, but life-threatening. Mixu didn't care much about these things. They couldn't be turned into money, so she had no interest in them. Okay, since you like it so much, just keep it for yourself. The things in this box are enough for you, Mei Shui said with a smile. When Xiaobai heard this, he was happy and said, Thank you, master. Thank you, master. But it's not safe to put it here. Master, can you help me put it all into the space? It is one with its master. Since the master doesn't like it, these things still belong to it. Yes, but there are a lot of old herbs in the space. Help me collect them all when I have time. If I plant them again, people will not be able to eat them. The changes in the space are getting bigger and bigger. Especially the speed of time, I didn't expect that it would be 1 to 1 year now. 1 day on the outside, 1 year on the inside. This is no problem, but many of the things in it cannot be taken out for mortals to eat, but they can be used by Hians, which will help his internal strength, Xiaobai said flatteringly. Can he eat it? Mei Shui didn't believe it. Yes, the medicinal power can transform the internal energy. After Xiao cultivates the internal energy, he can slowly take supplements. It turns out it can still be like this if it works. I'll give it to him when he comes back next time. She had to read a book to see if it could be made into pills. Well, Hian's internal strength has only been cultivated for about a year now. A ginseng that is more than 500 years old can be used as food for him anyway. It can't make up for much. It's a waste. I plan to give it to Grandma for about 500 years. Mei Shui's heart was Grandma's first priority. Yes, Grandma is ready to eat it now, but Master, doesn't your exercise include a set of boxing techniques that can keep you healthy? You can teach Grandma how to practice it? Are there any other exercises in it? She always thought that was all there was, and handed it to Hians without even looking at it. That's right, you don't know, Xiaobai was surprised, you didn't even look at the rest. I haven't read it, and I'm not interested. The previous article is useful. She has her own hand and foot skills, which have become a habit over the years, and she is not comfortable practicing anything else. Well, if you haven't seen it, you can only wait for Hians to come back. It knew that the master definitely didn't have that skill with him. Well, I made a note of it and will ask him again next time when he comes back. After coming down from the mountain, Mei Shui opened the box when she got home and saw a bead of hay inside. Xiaobai, is this the immortality grass you are talking about? The name is good, but unfortunately, the body does not match the power of the name at all. No matter how bad it looks, in an era when spiritual energy is sufficient, it can allow a person to reach the golden elixir stage directly. This is why Xiaobai treasures it so much. What about now? At most, it can strengthen the body and bring the body to a perfect state. It is called immortality, but there is nothing in the world that can directly become an immortal. At that time, Qin Shi Huang was looking for this thing. Unfortunately, the growth conditions of longevity grass are too demanding, and it does not grow everywhere. This bead was found by its previous owner before it emerged. There were originally 3 beads, but he used 2 of them, leaving just 1 bead in the end. No matter how much he eats, it won't make him an immortal directly, it's just an illusion. Mei Shui also took out her medical book and looked through it. Only when she found the column about longevity grass did she realize how precious this thing was. You think old man Shi will have any thoughts after he learns about this? She is not afraid of trouble, she is just worried about her grandma and the others. No, this thing has appeared in history, and it has also proven its medical value. Unfortunately, there are too few of it to be cultivated on a large scale. It would be good if he could eat it. Xiaobai is very confident in this and is not afraid of him taking action. Even if he takes action, he will still be able to keep his owner and his family safe. Don't think that becoming a dog means you are no longer a wolf. Its true nature is still there. That's good, but I plan to give it to Grandma to try it first. How can a good thing be made cheaper for others? Mei Shui said with a plan. It works, but you can use other medicine to neutralize it. I'm afraid the medicine will be too effective and make Grandma rejuvenate, Xiaobai said with a teasing smile. Chen, I understand, there happens to be a formula here, but Xiaobai, tell me the truth, is this medical book different from modern medicine? She always felt that the things she saw were too scary. Of course it's different. Today's Chinese medicine is only superficial. No, it's not even superficial. But it's a pity that many medicinal materials here have disappeared, and there's not much you can learn, Master. Xiaobai is a little disappointed, it still misses the past very much. It's okay, I didn't want to become a miracle doctor. It's good now. After the next life, she felt that life and food were more important if she could live without anything. Then Master, take your time and adjust yourself. I'm going to play in the back mountain. After Xiaobai left, Mei Shui did not shut herself up at home, but came out to take care of her children and liberate her grandma. "Grandma, you go play, I'll take them." The child is over half a year old and is not very energetic. "It's okay, have you rested, Grandma?" He thought that Mei Shui was tired when she came back and entered the house. "Well, okay, Grandma, you go and play. Grandma hasn't gossiped for a few days." "Okay, then I'll go down for a walk." It's not that she doesn't want to take care of the child, she really can't take care of the child. As soon as Grandma he left, Mei Shui carried the children around and put them to sleep. Don't forget to vote. Please vote for recommendations and monthly votes. End of this chapter.